What's up, everyone? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Niners News here on 49ers Hive. My name is Zach Hernandez, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Matt Llewellyn. And today we're going to be talking about Jalen Hurd reportedly tearing his ACL on the second day of camp. Matt, what are your initial reactions to this?
It sucks from the standpoint that, everybody's really excited to see what we can do. We had Emmanuel Sanders leave. So Hurd was one of those guys we were really looking forward to stepping up and seeing what he can do. So short term, it definitely is a hit. As far as, it's the wide receiver room's getting awfully thin right now. Debo's out. Brandon Ayuk is a rookie. So how much can you really depend on him to kind of lead the charge? I mean, you're talking about, guys like Dante Pettis are going to get first team reps because there's just not enough guys. We've seen the laundry list of guys that they've brought in. What you thought at first were just camp bodies now take on a much more vital role because of the injury to Hurd. So it's unfortunate, but I think that it's hard to describe, but I think it's a good thing to kind of get out of the way, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But why don't you tell me what your initial thoughts were?
I was bummed. I mean, to say the least. I am in the camp of I can't wait to see Jalen Hurd this year. The guy looked phenomenal preseason last season. And the fact that he again got injured and it's a year-ending injury, and it's just oh man. I just can't. I don't know. I'm trying to wrap my head around this because also the whole thing about allegedly fans kind of shaming him making him delete his Instagram and, calling him injury prone and bones are made of glass, whatever the case may be. It just kind of sucks from all around, not only from the 49ers perspective, but it's his career. There's literally millions of dollars on the line. If he balled out this year, who's to say he wouldn't be in line for a contract extension in the next year or two? So it just sucks. But, I think the 49ers are at least somewhat equipped to deal with the loss. The way I keep trying to rationalize it is they went to the Super Bowl and they were a few minutes away from the Super Bowl without him last year. So I don't think that he should be missed too much. But I do think that Shanahan was likely having a large portion of the playbook kind of carved out for him, or at least hoping to be able to use some plays that he may not have been able to use with other players as well. So it just sucks. Do you agree that he's kind of injury prone, Matt, or do you think that it's just kind of the luck of the draw and these things just happen?
Oh, absolutely. No, he's injury prone. And the thing is, going back to, he started out as a running back and at Baylor, he had multiple shoulder surgeries. His junior year was ended with a concussion while he was already nursing an ankle injury. Then he goes to Tennessee. He has another injury before the draft, gets drafted by the 49ers, shows up in camp, hurts his back. Now you're talking about an ACL, and that's a lot of mileage and wear and tear on a guy that, is still a young guy. And I think what's happening is the potential that the 49ers fans see is the only thing keeping them attached to Jalen Hurd. If this was anybody else, there wouldn't be as much, there's a lot of negativity out there right now, and I don't condone anybody going after a player. If you're doing that, you're a scumbag. You need to stop. It's not his fault that he's getting hurt. It's just, it is what it is. It's not like he actively went out there and was like, I'm going to tear my ACL today. And, for people to shame him for that, that's completely out of bounds and you should never do that. That being said, I remember another guy who the 49ers drafted was hurt and fans really never saw him. And that was Marcus Lattimore, the running back out of South Carolina. And he had a lot of promise. He was a great college player. And, he just, that knee injury completely sapped him. The difference is Jalen Hurd has that. We all know what I'm talking about. He has that one piece of film footage in a 49ers uniform against the Dallas Cowboys where he scores a couple touchdowns and he's pinballing off of everybody. And that is the only reason why 49ers fans have hyped him up as much as they did, because he had that. You're talking about a guy who switched positions his senior year in college after a transfer. He hasn't been playing the position that long. So he was a project to begin with. You're talking about a third round guy. And yeah, he's in Shanahan's offense, and that makes for, a lot of potential. But again, you look at the extensive injury history, and it's one of those things where if you're not on the field, then are you ever going to become more than a project? And if you're not going to do it when you're young and can't stay healthy, how are you going to do it as you age and continue to not be healthy? You never get healthier in the NFL as you go along. It's only more wears and tears, more nicks, more cuts and bruises and getting banged up here and there. So for me, there's a serious question as to whether Jalen Hurd's ever going to see the field for the 49ers as far as any meaningful plays. People were ready to cut bait on Dante Pettis after last year, and he wasn't even injured. He just had, a really bad sophomore slump, but he's healthy. If he can get his head right, the talent's there. With Hurd, he can't stay healthy. We don't know what we have in him. So I think that piece of highlight is actually the most damning part about this whole thing. And it's why so many people are upset, because you get that tantalizing little glimpse and you're like, man, he's going to be so good. Can't wait for this guy. But if it doesn't happen because he can't stay healthy, then what, is the fan base going to hold on for too long and overhype a guy that, it just isn't going to get it done? I mean, he's probably going to go the way of a lot of other draft picks and, be out of the league in 3 years, and unfortunate as that is, but you're talking about a major back injury, and now you're talking about an ACL, and you're talking about 2 years away from football at a position that you're just barely learning. So, realistically, what can we expect from him going forward?
When you put it like that, it is, it is really concerning. But I don't know. It's kind of like with Jerick McKinnon. At least he had some NFL experience. At least he was with the position that he had been playing this whole career. And he had 2 major injuries back to back. Well, there's some skin in the game already
with McKinnon too. Don't forget that it was a flare up of the injury that he had before. I mean, Jalen Hurd, it's like pin the injury on the football player. You just throw a dart at Jalen Hurd, and he's probably been injured there. And it's unfortunate to say, and this is nothing personal against Jalen at all. It just seems that he is, not, his body does not like, football at a competitive level. It just seems that way.
So let me ask you this. There's another guy, another 49ers receiver at that, who's been injured, saw the field a little bit, maybe, obviously a tad bit more than Jalen Hurd, and Trent Taylor, and fans have been waiting and willing to give him time to get healthy. Not all fans, I'll give you that. Some are already writing him off, saying, get this bum off the squad. But you're saying that it's kind of getting to the point where Jalen Hurd, it almost seems like, I may be reading into your words a little too much, but that the 49ers need to kind of move on, or at least start thinking about moving on, because this guy may never see the field. Trent Taylor is now lighting it up. What if Jalen Hurd returns next year and you start seeing the same thing with him?
Good, then maybe he can stay. But as far as Trent Taylor goes, I need to see him be healthy too. It's not like I'm going to set Trent Taylor apart, The only difference is Trent Taylor did have a full season under the NFL, so we did get to see, what he could be. And people are disappointed in that situation too, where he's, injured. But you're talking about major injuries for Trent Taylor, a back injury also, and foot injuries, which are really bad for wide receivers. And he had a setback. So now this is really the year where it's like, if he doesn't do it this year, then when? And I think that the same thing is going to be true for Jalen Hurd. I don't think that the 49ers will give up on an injury-prone player before their rookie deal is over. I think it's just smart business to, you're talking about a third-round guy. It's not like he's going to be cost-prohibitive to keep him on the team. Somebody who took a nosedive as badly as Dante Pettis did last year, people are talking about he's going to get cut. No, he's not. He's going to be there. It's, it doesn't make sense to cut a guy like that. It's, again, not like you signed a guy to be Julio Jones and he turned out to be, Aaron Jones, who you've never heard of before. These are rookie slotted deals. They're slotted for a reason, to minimize the risk that you get for taking players at certain positions. And it only makes sense that maybe he does catch fire. Maybe he does come back and he could stay healthy. I'm not saying that he can't. I'm just saying that the track record isn't on his side. And if he does, then I'm, more than willing to say, hey man, maybe I was wrong about this. But in my defense, I'm not knocking the talent. I'm knocking the availability, and the best ability is availability. If you're always hurt, then what are you really providing to the team other than another spot on the IR,
Yeah, you and Scott were kind of going at it in the group chat, not going at it, but going over his injury history.
Mm-hmm.
And it, from what I read, it looks like it goes back to high school. I
Yep.
mean, this guy's been injured year after year after year since
Yep.
he turned a teenager. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot to deal with. And only, this being his second year in the NFL, that his body's already beat up. There's already a lot of injuries.
Right.
And no matter how serious an ACL injury is to come back from, last year there was rumors that this guy might never play it down as it was with just his back injury.
Exactly. I was going to bring that up.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Let's not forget that, there were rumors last year that, he didn't get on the plane for the Super Bowl because he was too injured. And there were rumors coming out from 49ers beat writers that they were concerned he was never going to play football. I mean, so I don't think what I'm saying is that outlandish. I know it's going to piss some people off, and I'm sure we'll hear it in the comments, and that's fine. I stand by what I say, and anybody can, argue with me if they want to, or, debate me respectfully or whatever, and we can have that discussion. But this is, again, we're only a few months removed from people being like, is Jalen Hurd really going to play? When you hear people, hey, does he have that dog in him? Does he have that dog mentality where he wants to make it back from injury and stuff like that? If you have those questions already, like when you keep going and adding injury, this isn't, and I got to give props to my guy, Alex Smith. This isn't an Alex Smith situation where you can tell Alex Smith was going to get back no matter what. I mean, he almost lost his leg, but that you never heard him say like, I'm going to give up, or you never heard rumors like, oh man, this and this and that. From day one, it was always Alex Smith's going to try to play football again. And people were like, no, he's not going to do that. But it was never a question of, I don't know if he has the desire or, has the ability to overcome the, the mental aspect of an injury to come back. And we heard that about Jalen Hurd. So I think that's a big difference.
Yeah, rehabbing from an injury, especially a serious one like that, it's just as much of a mental rehab as it is a physical rehab. So you really need to have that mental toughness and tenacity to be willing to go through it every day. Rehab is hard. I've never kind of recovered through serious injuries myself, but I've seen people firsthand close to me go through it, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
And I'm only thinking of also the hit that his psyche's taking. I mean, he probably was feeling great getting into year 2 after missing his whole rookie year. And now he's just got hit with this news that he's not going to play at all for another 12 months, or so. So it's like, it's just bad all around. Last question for you, Matt. Who takes advantage of this opportunity now that somebody needs to fill the void?
I know the popular pick is going to be Juwan Jennings, but I'm going to step out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that Trent Taylor is going to stay healthy and being in the lineup. And I also think that Dante Pettis will have somewhat of a resurgence this year. So hopefully that's true. Dante, don't make me look bad. No, I think that, with another year of NFL football under his belt, another year of expectations under Shanahan's system, I think that if anybody can get Dante to come back out of his shell, it's going to be Kyle Shanahan. So we'll see what happens there.
I'm so glad you said that. I have kind of been convincing myself and trying to convince others that Dante is going to have a good year this year. People are already writing him off, and I was saying it today on Twitter. Don't write him off just yet. He was second year. Sophomore slumps are very common, especially at the receiver position. Let this man get his footing again, and he'll make the most of it. I'm confident he will. So we just got to wait and see. But that's going to do it for us today, guys. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Our handles are below on the screen. And make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and comment your thoughts below. Who do you think steps up? How big is this injury loss for the 49ers? And I just really want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Niners News here on 49ers Hive.
Go ahead and click the bell for all your notifications. And until next time, go Niners.